Happy Facebook Live Wednesday. I saw this song on my soul sister Terry Lynn's Facebook page. It's Yiruma, and the song is River Flows in You. And I want you to just listen to this for a few seconds. Very, very peaceful, very calming. So today's Facebook Live topic is inspired by the floods that have been going on. One of our family friends had their house just swept away. And, you know, when you think of losing a lot of physical properties, you know, you have just a lot of attachments that you have. Your cell phone, your favorite cup, your clothes, your laptops, your bed, you know. It made me think about what is the best way to share devastating news. You know, when you have to share that grandpa has cancer, when you have to share that parents are getting divorced, if you have to share that about this pandemic. A lot of parents did not know how to share devastating news. And the pandemic did inspire my 100 parenting tips inspired by the pandemic. And it made me think about what I wanted to do with my life and how I really want to be there for parents. But also, what do we need to hear as parents to help our journey, raising our children, overcoming challenges, and preparing our children to face challenges that are oftentimes totally unpredictable. Who would have just guessed or prepared for a devastating flood, for a tsunami? Remember when Oahu and Kauai and a lot of the islands suffered just devastating damage from Hurricane Iniki and Hurricane Eva, and we have just natural disasters. Mother Nature can be so cruel and so unexpected, right? No one prepares for the death of a family member, even if you know, like we knew that my dad only had hours left to live, February 1st, 2016, and no one prepares you for that. We recently lost the eldest Catil sibling, Laura Gonzalez, and her funeral is this Friday, and I had to share the news with my girls, and it got me to thinking that it is not easy, right? How do we share devastating news? And I've come up after researching, I'm always doing my Googling and just going within too and meditating and finding out just how did I handle it? Maybe not in the best light, because I mean, when you're going through devastation, you might not have the right words, but you don't need the right words if you're having to share devastating news. The first thing is to get your children in a calm, just provide a calm environment. So that could be my forever, suggestion, a calming candle. You can put some calming music on. You can find a time where it's not chaotic. So maybe after dinner is done, or maybe when no one is having a tantrum, when no one is having a meltdown. But of course, is there ever a perfect time to share news that you lost your house or that someone is dying? No. But these are suggestions, and you can always revisit. It is never like a one-time event of sharing and then you think, oh my gosh, I screwed up. You can never screw it up, because you can always revisit and say, you know what, Mom didn't really know the right words to say, so I want you to let me know how you're feeling. How are you feeling? Just know that we'll get through this, and I am here for you. I'm going to keep you safe. No matter what's going on in our lives, I am there for you. Invite them to share what's going on and let them know it is scary and it's okay to be scary. I mean, it's okay to be scared. You might look scary as you're sharing the news because you might not be able to maintain that calm tone. You might be crying hysterically. I mean, when I had to tell my daughters what the doctors shared, that Papa didn't have much time left, sometimes you don't need the words, and all you need is your presence, is a tight hug, is a smile that, you know what, I'm here for you. You have to tell the truth, right? You can't sugarcoat devastation. And you can practice. If you have a couple minutes, you can practice what you're going to say. But a lot of times, you don't even feel like you need to practice or that you want to practice. How can you say, we lost our house? How can you say, Papa only has a few hours left to live? Devastating news is never easy to share. But just know that it needs to be done. You don't want to hide devastating news. You don't want to keep it a secret. And just respect your children's ability to cope with it however they want. They might have a temper tantrum because that's their instinct, right? You resist. You don't want to believe it. You might scream and you might just have a mental breakdown, an emotional breakdown. And that's okay. Let your child scream. Let your child do what they need to do to heal. Don't say words like, don't worry. I was just looking up. They said, don't worry are words that are so ineffective because we're going to worry. Don't tell me what not to do, right? If you're going to worry, then find ways to lift them up. You can say, let's count our blessings. What do we have going right in our lives? Even though Papa's dying, even though we lost our house, what do we have? We have each other. We have memories. We have hope. We have the future. We have time to heal and to have each other. I think that the worst part is for a child to think that they are alone. When your house is gone, your bed is gone, or you know that your grandpa, some of the people that I've interviewed, sometimes they've lost their daughter or son, or they've lost their parent, right? And if your child loses their dad, if they lose a family member, it's hard. But don't keep it a secret. Don't make it something that is forbidden to talk about because they need to keep that person who has passed, if it is a loved one, you want to keep that memory alive. I have someone close to us who lost a child. And when you lose a child, it is devastating. I've interviewed moms who've lost, their daughter at 9 or who've lost their parent, at a young age. When you lose your parent and you're young, it is hard, right? My husband, Thomas Gibson, found his dad dead in the yard. He was only 20. And it builds resilience. I mean, you don't think at the time that you will survive, but I look at him, and when I met him, he was such a mature 23-year-old. And none of us like to go through hardship, right? No one likes to suffer. But if you see that suffering as there's a purpose, I believe there's a purpose in everything that happens. And it could either be something that we don't understand, and we don't need to understand it, right? You don't need to understand why tragedy happens, but you do want to heal, and you want to find strategies and just loved ones. You want a tribe. You want at least one person there to pick you up. And when you're a child, the one person you want is your mom, your dad, an older sibling, and you just want hope. So I've written some notes here, provide reassurance, share your feelings as well. I had to tell my daughters, we have to, had to prepare for Chelsea's birthday, March 6th, and then my dad's funeral was March 9th. and I had to enlist my oldest daughter's help in creating the funeral video. And then I had to ask another friend to help me with the program. And people will come just willingly. You will have friends and family that will come to your rescue. And that's when you know who your tribe is. But when you do share news, speak calmly, but know that if you lose it, be vulnerable and just tell your child that this is really hard. I mean, what we're going through seems so horrible that we don't even know if we can survive. But you know what? We will, because we have each other. Whenever there's devastation, you know that you have each other. If you have one best friend, I'm an only child, I leaned on my soul sisters, I leaned on my husband, my daughters, my pets, and you just know that you're going to be okay. You can, if you don't believe in meditation, just deep breathing, closing your eyes, and envisioning what you want to happen. Envision conversations with your loved ones who have passed. And just have those conversations out loud. I talk to my dad often, and just encourage your child to share their worries, because if they keep it inside, it's not healthy. And you want the healing to process, and processing healing cannot happen unless you talk about it. And so a lot of people have grieved for years, but it's just stuck in their soul. And if you don't talk about it, that grief is stuck in you. So I know a great grief counselor, grief coach, Deslin Hakias. I interviewed someone who also, Paula Griffith, who lost her daughter when she was a little girl, and she gave birth the following month. Can you imagine? And then raising that child, knowing that you have to be strong, right? You have to be strong in order to raise your baby when you just lost your daughter. So when you have these devastating news to share with loved ones, number one, make eye contact. Don't share the news and look down, because eye contact, right, helps you emotionally connect. And of course, speak calmly. Make sure that your child knows that even though you guys are experiencing devastation, that they're not alone, that you are there for them, that this might be extra hard to focus on anything. I mean, the pandemic has caused a lot of, if you're not even attention deficit ADD, a lot of us have become just victims of focusing deficits, because how do you even focus when we are worried about, like now I'm unable to do the vaccine. It's not, Spectrum offered it to my husband. I think Time Supermarket's going to offer it to their employees, so my daughter's okay. My mom's been off, she got her second vaccine, but as for me, I didn't have it, and people are asking, right, so what, did you get your vaccine yet? So when you share, a lot of these children, they haven't had the vaccine, but they're hearing that we need to have the vaccine. And if you hear that, but you're not getting it as a child, you wonder, like, is something bad going to happen if I don't get the vaccine? So the most important thing you can do is share with your children and have them share what is going on in their little brain. Have them cry in front of you. Some kids don't feel comfortable crying, but just give them a tight hug and reassure them that they're going to be okay. We're all going to be okay. And sometimes life is super, super difficult, but we're so strong. We are stronger than we will ever realize. And there's so much hope, but sometimes we forget. We forget how faith and hope and just believing in dreams and believing that things are going to be okay, that's what gets us through the hardest times. If you contemplate and you reflect on all those hard times, you look back and you think, wow, I didn't think I was going to survive my dad's death. I didn't think I would survive the embarrassment and shame of my suicide attempt, and then my divorce, having my eldest go off for college, and then dealing with my youngest one who was only 12, and then she was going through depressions, and we reached out and got a therapist for both of us. But if you, don't want to have a therapist, reach out to a friend, reach out to a sister who might not be related to you, but we all have those soul sisters that we can call on no matter what time it is. And I am here for you guys. You might not consider me one of your tribe, but I am making it my mission to reach out to anyone who is struggling to maybe share news with their child. It doesn't have to be devastating news. It could be just sharing what you're going through and finding out or wondering, how do you parent? How do you parent when you yourself have lost faith? How do you parent when you don't believe in the education system, this wonderful distance learning? How do you even survive? How do you really believe that your child will be behind forever? I'm here to tell you that they will not be behind forever. I, as a special ed teacher, I have seen kids at a first grade reading level, and they're 12, and then with consistent tutoring, and if it doesn't have to be from me, but I give tips, and sometimes it can be as minimum as 15 minutes a day, just working on phonics or working on math skills or just bonding with your child in some way. Oh my gosh, it's Elisa Richardson. Thanks for popping up. Yeah, this topic that I'm sharing, Elisa, is sharing devastating news. And it doesn't even have to be with a child. It can be, how do you share devastating news with your friends, telling them that, I'm having to share the Alzheimer's journey, and Elisa, you totally can relate because your mom is going through something similar. And, when you have a parent in a care home, it's tough. And seeing them wilt away, they no longer remember you, but they smile. And I don't, when people say, oh my gosh, it's so sad, I don't see it as sadness, because when you look up the emotional reason, I believe in Louise Hayes. She has a book called Healing. And she believes that, certain diseases we bring upon ourselves. And if you read why people choose, you might not think that people choose Alzheimer's, but people who have Alzheimer's, hey, Koa, they do not want to face growing old. And I can totally see that for my mom. She's not worried about her wrinkles anymore. And she's not worried about, getting the next cream to make her look younger. She's not worried about how her hair looks. But she is a child at heart. We're playing peekaboo with her, and we're tickling her, and we gave her a little bear, and she was just hugging it and making it dance. And we're showing her pictures of sunrises or playing old music and new music, and just showing her Snapchat filters, like, Grandma, look at you. And she has bunny ears, or she looks like an old lady. And she's like, no, that's not me. What happened? And she's laughing. And you know what? I feel happy when I see her. I'm glad that you guys enjoy me posting and sharing the videos and the pictures, but I digress. The whole topic is sharing devastating news, and my daughter just showed me pictures of Haleiwa. Whenever there's flooding, natural disasters, tragic health issues, terminal, not just terminal illnesses, but accidents that result in horrifying effects. I shared with my daughters that my former student in his early 20s, he was about to leave for the Army, and the day before he fell over a tiny rock. It was a dirt bike accident, and he ended up being paralyzed from the hip down, so he could still use his arms and brush his teeth and feed himself, but he could no longer walk. And I visited him in the hospital, and I broke down and cried, and he said, "It's okay, Miss Karen." And I said, "I am so sorry. I'm supposed to be strong for you." And then I shared with my daughters, about this accident and how sometimes we don't know what our destiny is. What do we have planned for us? We have no idea. I just pulled a card and it said, I have these work your light cards. I love these cards. And it said, what should I know before going live? And it said to really follow my soul's calling. And lately I've been sharing these videos. This is my 47th Facebook Live. I've done over 40 interviews, continue to do them, and I will share them weekly. I've been inspired to do mama meditations. They are not just for moms. They are for anyone who needs maybe a couple minutes just to deep breathe. If you're not into meditations, I invite you to just try one of them. I just posted my first one a little over a week ago on Instagram. I didn't post it on Facebook, but it is on my Letting Go with Aloha YouTube channel. And tomorrow, I'm going to post Mama Meditation number 2. So please share, help me share the YouTube channel, Letting Go with Aloha. Share my book. I don't have it with me. Oh, yes, I do. It is my hard copy. 100 parenting tips inspired by the pandemic. And, one of the tips, I think, these tips aren't just for parents. And I've shared them with people who are in their 20s and who are not parents. And they tell me that some of these tips are just life tips, which I thought was very encouraging. One of them, it says teach your child perseverance. Very short tip. Look how short these tips are. That's tip 47. And instead of saying teach your child perseverance, it could be teach you perseverance and practice perseverance. And so I just realized when you're sharing devastating news with a family member, it doesn't have to be with a child, but I think it's a reminder to live with gratitude, right? Really count your blessings, lean on a tribe, and a tribe can consist of one. It could be your significant other. It could be a pet. Some people tell me they feel totally alone. And I always tell them, you have, but they feel a connection with their peers at work, even though you're working remotely. A phone call, a Zoom call, FaceTime, it's amazing. I only met one of my soul sisters from Grenada in Washington, D.C. at a poetry convention, okay? Sometimes someone in your child's life, they might not feel close to them, but if that person reaches out, I've met kids and on the first session, I bond with them. And it could be drawing a cat on the Zoom whiteboard. And, they're very scared and intimidated and they don't want to be tutored. But once you form an emotional connection with anyone, a child, a stranger at the supermarket, have you ever, you just like look at someone, they look kind of sad and you just smile. That's all you do, smile and you wave. I just waved to someone the other day and then they waved. We were walking our dogs and you just share that instant 2-second connection. And you know what? It lifts your spirits. So you can do that with someone who is receiving devastating news, because sometimes you might not be sharing devastating news, but you hear devastating news, right? And you just don't know what to do. What do you say? Sometimes you don't have to say anything, but give them a hug. Of course, now with COVID, you can't really give a hug, but you can text, hey, how are you doing? I had a lot of people, remember that missile alert thing that was just, I won't describe that, but I had people that I hadn't heard from in years reach out. I just want to let you know, Karen, that I'm thinking of you. Are you guys okay? And I thought that was equivalent to a hug, So just reaching out to that child, to that loved one, to maybe, like I reach out and there's a lady I've seen, oh my gosh, her Alzheimer's is really, really progressing to the point where she needed to transfer to another home and she was crying. It was so devastating. She was crying. She knew, I think, because her suitcase was brought to the door, and but then dinner came and she was happy. And I just said, hi, Francine. And she said, hi, how are you doing? And her sadness melted away. I thought, wow, even when you are in the midst of crying, reach out to someone. Reach out to me, message me, just tell me, you know what, Karen, I'm having a hard time, and I will, if I'm tutoring, I might not reach out at the time, but I promise you, I've been getting messages, either texts, Facebook, Instagram, and I am here for you guys because I am making this my mission. And I'm realizing, yes, it is for parents, but then when I share it with other people, I'm realizing that some of these people are practicing the tips on their business, and I didn't even realize, mama's got to let go. There's a lot of things that we need to let go, whether it's expectations as a business owner, expectations as a wife, expectations as a unemployed, right? If you're unemployed and you've been trying so hard to get a job and you've been rejected time and time and time and time again, what do? Number one, don't define your worth. You have to keep telling yourself, don't define your worth by external circumstances. Mama's got to let go. It was on the New York Times list. It did okay. But my friend, my cheerleader, my soul sister on Kauai, I only met her a year ago, and she reminds me, Karen, you've been a parenting coach. You might not even you weren't a paid parenting coach, but you've been helping people throughout the past couple of decades. So if your child just needs comfort, your sister, your brother, your friend, whoever is going through devastation or tragedy, they just need to be lifted up. How can you be lifted up? You can send them their favorite song. My favorite song is by John Lewis, and it's Love You, Always and Forever. And when I was going through that depression, Sabrina just sent me that song and said, Mom, look, here's our song. I'm thinking of you. Oh, it just makes me cry thinking about it. And it was just a song. But it lifted my spirits, People have been posting songs from the 80s. Share a video that your child, if you're a parent. We've been looking at old TV shows like Teletubbies. Remember? I don't know if you guys remember Teletubbies, or Scooby-Doo has always been a big one. But if you yourself are going through tragedies, watch, I remember I Dream of Jeannie, Bewitched, Gillian Simon, right? Watch something. Sometimes it could just be a 2-minute video on a pet that's rescued. Or I just saw yesterday these Welsh corgis running around in circles. And all of a sudden, I felt hopeful, and I just started laughing. It's amazing how healing YouTube is. I think that's how I'm going to end it. My advice to you, whoever is going through devastation, utilize the healing power of YouTube. Find something that maybe reminds them of what they're grateful for. I've done like 5-minute gratitude. It could be a 5-minute gratitude meditation. If your child is not up to feeling grateful, let them vent to you, let them cry to you. But, oh my gosh, I wanted this to be 20 minutes, and there's 34 minutes. Sorry, but thanks, Elisa, for watching, and Koa, and anyone who's watching the replay. Please post a comment. Let me know how you handle devastation, tragedy, the pandemic, things beyond your control. What do you do? And I'm offering you a virtual hug. I am going to blow out my candle, and my wish is that all of us focus on gratitude, focus on what's going right in your life. I mean, right now I'm looking out, at least I don't know if it's sunny or snowing, but it is sunny finally in Hawaii, and I know we have devastation from the flood, but I am going to focus on healing. I was just so grateful that my cousin, whose house was washed away, I think the roof is still there. Within hours? Within less than 12 hours, someone created a GoFundMe, and someone raised, and I'm sure it's way more than, but it was $17,000. They lost their cars. They've lost their chickens. They've lost their beds. They've lost their cell phone. My husband lost the cell phone. I mean, it's just devastating. So if you can reach out, I sent an old Japanese blanket that's going to donate to Goodwill to my Dotson friend in Texas who has 6 Dotsons. And I threw in some macadamia chocolates and his day. So make someone's day by sending a text, sending an uplifting song, and power of prayer is always good too. But thanks for watching, guys. And stay tuned. I'll be posting my mama meditation. It is not just for mamas, but I invite you. It's less than 2 minutes. I'm going to try to make some of them. I think the second one is a little more than 2 minutes, but I promise you to keep them under 3 minutes, unlike these Facebook Lives. I know they are really, really long. It's my thing that I'm working on. Concise is not my thing right now, but I'm working on that. Thanks, guys. Have a wonderful